Dell Technologies and AMD present the Cybersecurity Tapes.
Almost every story about a cyber attack starts the same way, with something small, something you may have missed.
But these days, when there are a million small things coming straight at you, all the time, non-stop,
That is a big problem. This is the Cybersecurity Tapes. I'm Steve Keniston.
and I'm Max Robidoux.
So we're doing something a little different.
Every episode features a brand new story
A fictional story.
based on real-world experiences from the world of cybercrime.
Max and I will be back to discuss how this story stacks up against reality and pass along some of our own expertise. So with that,
Roll the tape.
The incidents portrayed in this episode of the Cybersecurity Tapes are fictitious. No identification with any persons, places, companies, or products is intended or should be inferred. Notorious and inevitable, the KPI, or Key Performance Indicator, exists in many forms. Collectively, KPIs are the slab foundation on which a board can build up the company's profits higher and higher, layer by layer, measure by measure. Pay little attention to the shifting sands beneath that foundation. We'll get to that later. The point is, you always build upward, and KPIs help keep things nice and stable while you do. When we left off, Maria was coaching Drew Marciano on how to speak to the board. After Owner's Suite Media acquired his startup, Drew stepped into the role of CISO and now finds himself in an unfamiliar boardroom, reporting to a board completely unlike what he's used to. His first head-to-head with the Owner's Suite board had gone, well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask the CEO, the answer might be unproductive. Drew walked in knowing every answer to the million questions they might ask, so it caught him off guard because they only asked a few. Maria had seen this type of transition before, and Drew was about to put her training into practice. It's time for round 2.
Mr. Marciano, welcome.
Please, Drew, we don't need to, Mr.
Agreed. Call me Charlie. So, what have you brought us, Marciano? What is our quantified risk at present?
Thank you, Charlie. At present, our posture is...
I'm sorry. Before we jump to the present, can we talk about the data breach? The ransom?
Of course, Miss Hayes.
Quinn, please.
Mighty Quinn.
Here. I have copies of the full report related to the ransomware breach. One for each of you. Mr. Crusoe.
This is...
Charlie.
How many pages is this?
Victor, heads up. The mighty Quinn Hayes. And Miss Shea.
I've reviewed it already. Thank you.
How could you possibly have had the time to read through all of...
I've got a hard stop at 9:30.
Same. What Mr. Caruso is getting at is, this isn't a book club.
Charlie,
Sydney?
you said Caruso again. No Ca, just Crusoe.
This is to take back to your office.
I thought it was like Robinson Crusoe.
It is, like Robinson Crusoe. Quinn, what is it you specifically wanted to ask Mr. Drew? Ideally, something short and sweet.
I'll summarize the report. Ransom paid. Most of our data was recovered, thanks to Drew and the new vaulting backup strategy. In my mind, this issue has been resolved. We use this time to plan for the future.
Correct, but we forecast based on data collected in the past. And from what I can tell, a single incident threw last quarter's projections off course. Drew. May I call you Drew? We account for situations like these. It eats me up inside that we have to, but unfortunately, that's just the way the world is now. So we budget for exactly these sorts of discretionary surprises.
I like that. Surprises.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was you who comforted this board last quarter that in the event of a surprise like this,
Surprise.
as a last resort, we had an in case of emergency use this insurance policy, which we understood, covered up to 60% of financial losses resulting from a cyber incident. So, we accounted for that.
So Steve, boards really love the idea that, we have insurance, so we're covered. But when we think about it, cyber insurance, it's really not a reset button. Thinking back to the story, the board's baking in that 60% coverage into their financial planning. which is risky, especially if the policy has gaps or it has conditions they don't fully understand. So when you hear a board say, don't worry, we're insured, what do you see them missing about the difference between, having that cyber policy on paper and then actually being ready to respond when something goes wrong?
Yeah, to me, it's that the folks who said, oh, don't worry, we have a policy, have never had to rely on or understand what the policy does. And this is where I like to harken back to the fact that folks who have been through a cyber attack and have fixed them, all the way from the practitioner right to the board, because it matters for them too, is they know that just because the letter of the law, the letter of the policy, hey, yeah, I'll pay if you have this stuff in place and you tend to put those things in place, you don't always get everything back. And that's where ensuring that you've gone beyond just what the policy has and what the policy can do to what components have you put in place to make sure that you're safe matter.
Yeah, definitely. I like to think of it as insurance doesn't equal assurance. It's a financial tool. It's not a security control. So you still need things like the backups, the incident response plans, training. You need to make sure the CISOs are in those policy decisions, kind of like what you were just talking about there a little bit. But kind of bring it full circle here, and especially when it comes to thinking about these things, like, do organizations actually know what's in your cyber policy? And have you ever actually had to run a drill where you've had to use it? When a real incident hits, the biggest problems aren't just technical. It's about who owns the plan and who's actually prepared to act.
I'm interested to see how this plays itself out.
Data security is even more important in the era of AI. As the use of digitization, cloud computing, AI, and other emerging technologies fuel the growth of data, the need for advanced security measures becomes even more pressing. The heightened need for security is further amplified by the increased global emphasis on privacy regulations and the severe penalties for breaches, highlighting the unparalleled value of data amid rising security risks. Built in at the silicon level, AMD Infinity Guard offers the advanced capabilities required to defend against international and external threats and help keep your data safe.
I get what you mean about not wanting to be on defense. Defending decisions that were made takes time away from the decisions that still need to be made.
Frankly, a lot of those decisions were made before my time. I'm still playing catch-up.
Try using any exposed vulnerability from the incident to redirect the conversation toward current risk factors. Spend doesn't necessarily equal security. A board wants to know what your current risk is and how to lower it.
A boilerplate addendum, the ransomware clause in our current insurance contracts,
The surprises
knocked us off track.
keep on coming.
But we've already started the process of renegotiation. It also exposed a vulnerability in our protection.
Who signed off on the contract?
My assumption is legal, but I'm not sure. The policy was in place when I came on board.
First I'm hearing of it.
Now you've heard of it.
Exactly.
Is it possible that empty assurances from IT led to that decision?
In cybersecurity, unfortunately, insurance doesn't always equal assurance. Security isn't an exclusive function of IT.
So then, what is it?
It needs to be built into the ethos of every department. Product design, marketing, HR, legal. We need to be on the same team. The hackers exploited a vulnerability in a perimeter attack surface. Our systems detected it immediately, and my team isolated the compromised network. The brunt of the impact came in the form of downtime, while our response was being debated internally.
A response protocol was already in your IR plan. What happened?
The stakeholders of the departments weren't properly briefed on the plan. They were learning the playbook after the game had already started.
Ah, I see. A plan is not a plan
unless everyone knows and has practiced the plan. Our current IR, our incident response plan, goes above and beyond industry standards, and it's becoming stronger with every surprise. But for me,
Surprise!
for us to succeed, I need everyone to know the plan. We all need to practice the plan, even the board.
Fair enough. So what's our exposure now?
Yes, full circle. Back to where we started. Our quantified risk at present.
The short answer? The world is a risky place. Unforeseen but probable forces that can move the goalposts. A board is only as effective as their ability to make predictions and know what to do. Remediation and operations, that's for you all to deal with in the C-suite. Stick to the present.
In the world of cybersecurity, KPIs fall into 5 major categories: securing the environment, detection, response, resilience, and governance. The ransomware incident last quarter exposed a vulnerability in our human resources, our training programs, prevention. So what did we do? We did a full review of our privileged access, and we kicked off biannual company-wide training courses. MFA is now mandatory, which, frankly, I was surprised it wasn't already. With these efforts, Owner's Suite has already seen a dramatic decrease in phishing click rates. Ours is now 8%, down from 23%. The industry benchmark is 4. Our alert to incident and containment time was exceptional, double digits above the industry standard. But we need to look at our data set now as an integrated company and make sure we have all the data we need to keep the business up and running, backed up and available for a quick, clean recovery.
Yes. I think we can all agree that's where we want to be.
You know, it's funny. Drew says a plan is not a plan unless everyone has practiced it. And then he kept going and said, we all need to practice the plan. What's funny is we talk a lot about practicing your recovery plans, right? And that's a function of helping to build resilience into your overall recovering from a cyber attack strategy. And the one thing that we don't talk enough about is how much the board needs to be a part of that plan. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these attacks might require some of the things that they need to do.
Yeah, definitely. When you look back to the story, Steve, they had an incident response plan, right? But the stakeholders weren't briefed. So it's all about the difference between that documentation piece and the actual preparedness. So the systems and the technology worked. They detected the attack. They isolated the network. The impact was that downtime while the response was being debated internally. And kind of going back to what you said a little bit there, we really harp on the, cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. So if you're on a leadership team, you're part of cybersecurity, whether you signed up for it or not. This is product marketing, HR, legal, everyone. Everyone needs to know their role. They need to practice it. And the board and execs, they're part of that playbook too. They're not just recipients of that, post-incident report. So when we look at things like best practices, we talk about things like simulations or tabletop exercises. You want to make sure you're including executives there. You want to make sure you're including board members so that you're not learning the playbook after the game starts.
One of the interesting things at Dell Technology World, we host a cyber range exercise. They're essentially a tabletop exercise. And one of the things we introduced this year is having a board level inject of some type where they have to be involved. And what I like about this is it gets everyone participating. And the real important thing is, as you said, Max, when you're doing these tabletop exercises, is making sure right up front that these functions are built into the whole overall strategy of what you're putting together. And then practice it. Do it a bunch of times. The practicing is where you're going to find the holes in the strategy. And the more you practice it, the more you're going to gain that confidence. It's just like why the military drills all the time. And so when the real thing happens, they're just reacting. It's second nature. You know what to do. You know who to call. You know who to get involved. And you feel more prepared.
People who understand good cyber hygiene, who understand the potential fallout from a cyber attack. For example, I'm sure Ms. Shea has a lot to say about public disclosures. They understand that the cost can be considerably more than just fiduciary.
If what you're doing means our customers get the experience they paid good money for, I'm on board. That experience is the only product we have for sale. Could be a game, could be a concert, whatever it is. It's happening at that exact moment. And when it's over, it's over. If you missed it, you missed it. There are no rain checks, and a refund doesn't make it right with the customer.
The show must go on. We have a great set of detection capabilities today, right now, at this exact moment. And with some of the new AI tools, we're finding threats faster. And we can stop them before they spoil anyone's experience.
Sounds good to me.
Excellent work, Drew. Unfortunately, that's all of our time for today. Let's schedule a breakout executive team session later this week to talk training.
And that's time. That was 40 minutes. This was your best run through yet. Did you get everything out they needed to hear?
I think so. Yeah.
Excellent. Then, it's game time.
This episode of the Cybersecurity Tapes was produced by Dell Technologies and AMD. The hosts and executive producers are Steve Keniston and Max Robidoux. It was written by Steve Keniston, Samir Shah, Max Robidoux, Mike Wiebe, and Bradley Parrott, directed by Bradley Parrott. Featuring performances from Ben Wolf, Lauren Mayhew, Robert Pearson, Heath Allen, and Danu Mara. Edited by Tim Edwards and Bradley Parrott. Sound design by Andy Slater. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Or visit thecybersecuritytapes.com to learn more.